Parkour is not just a few cool moves that we've seen in the movies like Prince of Persia. It is actually a sport, and it is taught right here in Pretoria. What is parkour?
One of the great definitions for what parkour is, in essence, is moving from point A to point B in the most effective way possible. And to do that, you need to be able to start seeing your environment, to have a vision to see, but I can't go through that, but I can go over it, or I can go around it, or I can go underneath it. Parkour was initially started by David Bell. He's a Frenchman. There were two of them. They were two friends who started training together, and they started using a military orientated fitness and they incorporated it with gymnastics.
Parkour had its origin in Europe, after which it became popular in America, and about 7 years ago, it found its way over here. Today, Theo is the managing director of SPRING Parkour Academy in Brooklyn, but growing up, he was never even interested in sports.
Before I started parkour, I had the athleticism of a frozen snail. I was useless. I couldn't do anything. I had to start where 10 push-ups was a goal, and it was a big goal. I never knew parkour existed at all. I had a friend who stayed in a town close by who asked me to please come check out this place. He's considering to drive through. I must check it out. And I walked in and I looked at this gymnastics orientated fitness, and I actually enjoyed it. And I phoned him back and I told him, you know what, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to start doing this. I started training. I trained for a few months, and I started getting a liking in coaching and training and helping out the other guys, breaking down their movements and what they did, and I step by step inherited the whole project.
Tell me more about the values of parkour.
Parkour instills a great amount of values for its participants or for the people taking them. It's not just your normal discipline setup where you have to some days get up and go train and do something, even though it's not necessarily always good or fun or enjoyable. It is a sport, and most sports have down days, or you have a flu, or it's not all that. But for the most, parkour challenges you to know what your limits and your boundaries are. If you know that if I jump this gap to that gap, I won't be able to make it, but I can do this, you start looking for alternative ways of solving your problem, of moving through.
Can you take us through a typical training session?
For our lower levels, they don't have 3 hours to train. We have an hour and a half, and we need to fit in fitness, strength, parkour, free running, conditioning, and then stretching, and all of these things are important. So we've put in some thought, and we've started combining stretching into some of the small basic warm-up movements. So we'll do this, there's lots of warm-up, and then there'll be a little bit of stretching after that. Then we focus for the big portion of the night into two areas: the parkour part, where they will be learning foundational movement, progression movements, depending on what the coaches have chosen. And then they'll also spend the second part of that session of the night in flow and free running, which means that it's more a combination of the individual movements and making it work in a very flowing orientated way. So they'll spend time on that, and then we also take the last part of the portion and do fitness, pure conditioning fitness, where they do their pull-ups, their strength training, their static movements. We do those, and a small stretch, cool down, and then they go home. You're letting your core go, so you're just falling down from the bar. I want you to pull through, keep your core tucked, and actually land it.
What would you say is the coolest move?
I think the biggest attraction concerning parkour is flips. It's about being able to do a front flip, a back flip, or a side flip. So all of them, they will come in here. The first thing they ask is, when do I start flipping? And we all say, not today. It is something that we teach them basics for. We have progressions into our front flips, into all of our flip movements, but it's the most popular thing that kids want to do.
And on this high note, it was time for our presenter to learn a few new moves of his own that he can show off with on future TV shoots.
Theo says his curriculum consists of 134 different moves and he can teach anyone.
We've taken our moves. We've decided that if you train twice a week here, because we do encourage the higher levels to start training more than twice a week at home, but most school kids can only afford to be out and about and train twice a week. In that time, we've taken base movements that are mostly gymnastically orientated as well. We train those for the kids and we give them a platform and say, take these and how we taught you to do them and go out there and go make your own thing.
Theo has over 80 students of all age groups. One of them is Komodo.
How did you get into parkour?
I was doing a few sports like soccer and rugby and stuff, but I got bored and I thought to myself, well, I played Assassin's Creed actually, it's my motivation. And I was like, oh, look at that guy, can jump from building to building. And I was like, hey, let's go look for a place to do that, and I just went for it.
What's the worst that has happened to you?
They actually named a failure after me, the KPAs, it's Gamotso Penguin Slide. I was gonna, over this box, I was gonna do a double Kong, and as I came in, I went through the box and landed on the other side with my face. So it looked like a penguin slide over the box.
The academy started very small and it has grown organically into one of the biggest of its sort in the country. But Theo says this is only the beginning.
What are your future plans?
At the end of the next month, we'll be moving this entire facility. We're going to move into our own facility because we're currently leasing here, and we're going to start building it bigger and higher and further. So at the moment, everything we've done, we've grown, but we've done it with the back thought in our minds that, but we are going to take this out again, and we can't really mount that to the wall because it needs to come off. So my heart for the academy is to move in about a month's time, find our own place, and just start building from there like Legos. Build bigger and bigger and bigger for the guys to enjoy and also grow as the guys or the students grow.